Igbo Area TV on the Igbo.
Violent overthrows in Africa. 6 attempts by the military to overthrow their governments that failed. Africa, since the time it wrenched itself free from the wicked hold of colonialism, has seen a lot of attempts by citizens or the military to bring down legitimate or otherwise governments of various nations of the continent. Few of these thoughtless and selfish campaigns were bloodless. Most brought about the death of important political figures of different African nations, shed civilian blood, handing over power to corrupt and selfish governments that left their nations more impoverished and devastated. We reckon, as we have seen so much of it, that it seems its end is not at sight, that this devastating tide will continue to mess with politics in Africa. Here is a list of 6 such attempts that ran into brick walls and were complete failures. Number 6. The 1990 Zambian coup, the 3rd attempt. It was led by Lieutenant Mwamba Luchembe against the government of the then president of Zambia, Kenneth Kaunda. The coup itself lasted 6 hours between 3 and 9 a.m. Lieutenant Luchembe of the Zambian army had announced via the ZNBC national radio station that the military had seized control of the nation's government. He cited the riots of the previous week as the cause of the takeover. The riots had left 17 dead and more than 100 wounded. The Luchembe coup was a massive failure. Several hours after it was staged, Kenneth Kaunda had retaken his position as the Zambian president. But the coup has seriously tampered the president's political power, which was already shaky from the rioting of the previous weeks. Number 5. The 2013 Libyan coup. In the early hours of October 10, the Prime Minister of Libya was abducted by the coup looters. Efforts were in progress to overthrow the government of Ali Zaidan. The plot, however, met a serious hitch when the site where the Prime Minister was being held was stormed by pro-government militia several hours after the abduction. This resulted in the Prime Minister's release and the collapse of the coup plans. Prime Minister Zaidan has later claimed that the attempted overthrow was carried out by militias in line with members of the GNC opposed to his government. Number 4. The 1972 Moroccan coup. This was the second attempted military overthrow on Hassan II, the king of Morocco at the time. Hassan was on his way back from a personal visit to France when the Boeing 727 he was in came under attack by 4 Air Force pilots who were flying Northrop F-5 fighter jets. Several died in the attack and others were left wounded. Holes has been shot through the fuselage of TL Boeing 727. Hassan managed to evade his attackers by a massive wire coil he deployed. He grabbed the radio and called out to the pilots, "Stop firing, the tyrant is dead." The pilots were deceived and broke off their attacks. The coup had been planned mainly by General Mohammed Alfa and Mohammed Ahmed Sene. General Alfa was executed by a firing squad. Amakene had died controversially in what seemed like a suicide. Number 3. 2014 Gambian coup. President Yahya Jammeh had taken control of the Gambian government in 1994 coup. The Gambian head of state removed the commander of his presidential guard, Lieutenant Colonel Lamin Sane. Sane fled to Washington, D.C. He met with Njaga Jagne in Washington, a fellow refugee and a former officer of the Kentucky National Guard, with whom he laid out the plans to overthrow Jammeh's government. The coup began with an attack on the State House of Gambia by about 160 soldiers on December 30, 2014. An intense battle between the rebels and the government forces ensued and was kept up for hours. Several points of entry into the city was blocked by soldiers and full blackout of the state radio and television was in effect. Failure of the rebel soldiers to consolidate control ultimately resulted in the triumph of the government forces. 4 had been killed, including Lieutenant Colonel Sane and co-plotter Jagne. Number 2. Major Gideon Orkar. One of the few failed Nigerian coup attempts. It was orchestrated by Gideon Orkar, a major in the Nigerian army. General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida was the head of state at the time. Orkar and his co-conspirators had seized control of the Federal Radio Commission Nigeria (FRCN) radio station and various posts around Lagos and Northern Barracks, the military headquarters, and the presidential residence. The president, who was present at the barracks when it was attacked, had managed to escape to safety through a back route. IBB's aide-de-camp was killed, Colonel Bello. Orkar, in his coup address, called for the accession of 5 northern states. Ultimately, the coup failed and Major Orkar was executed. Number 1, still a Nigerian coup. Buka Suka Dimka. It was led by Buka Suka Dimka, a Nigerian army officer, against the government of General Muritala Mohammed. Dimka had also participated in the 1966 counter-coup against Irunsi government, which resulted in the general's death and brought Gawan to power. Dimka and other coup plotters managed in taking out the then head of state after they ambushed his convoy. The coup hit a roadblock, and with failure, Colonel Dimka fled first to the premises of Radio Nigeria at Ikoyi, from where he had made a broadcast to the nation. He was eventually arrested in the company of a prostitute in the eastern Nigeria. A court-martial followed and he was executed with 38 other military officers and civilians.
Thanks for watching Igbo Area TV. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also click the bell icon. Like our Facebook page. Join our Facebook group. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Bye for now.